Who's hosting this show? Hi, this is Amy Lewis.
Any or makeup.
This is Engineers Unplugged. Hi, this is Amy Lewis. Welcome for a really interesting episode of Engineers Unplugged. We've got Aaron Delp and we've got Josh Atwell, and we're going to be climbing the social media pyramid. So, Aaron, take it away.
Thank you, Amy. So, Josh, you did a great Engineers Unplugged Season 3, Episode 10.
Oh, you even know the episode.
Oh, absolutely, with GS.
Yep.
And it was all about how do you get active in a community. But we want to take it a step further now and talk about what if you want to actually generate content and how can you do that, and kind of climbing a pyramid, if you will, with activity. So tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, so the interesting thing as far as conversations go that we have is how do you get started in the community? In fact, the V Brown Bag podcast has been talking about this a lot, trying to get a better appreciation for how to get engaged and the impact that it has. So the biggest thing that people always ask about is how much time does it take and how much effort is involved in getting involved. So as you can see, you're drawing out now. The way I usually kind of share this with people is the easiest and cheapest way to get involved is with social media, Twitter, and those social platforms like that, because you're able to do that in between other tasks. I often tell people that when I'm getting on Twitter and all, it's usually when I'm standing in line at the grocery store, when I'm in between meetings, waiting for WebEx to load, things like that. So those are the times where I find to engage in social media like Twitter. But when you start really actually generating content, you have to have a little more consideration about the audience that you want, the content that you want to deliver, and the message that you want to share. Now, the two of us, I think we both all started out with blogging and SlideShare. So I think we're all pretty familiar with blogging. But Aaron, touch on a little bit about SlideShare and that barrier to entry and how easy it is to get into SlideShare.
Sure, absolutely. So what we're looking at here, really three factors you want to consider as you're kind of moving up this pyramid. A lot of people, I want to get involved at some way. Well, the way we look at it, Twitter is at the bottom. You can load an app on your phone, sign up for an account, do it tomorrow. Quick, easy, free. When you're talking about blogs and SlideShares, again, you can get free content that's out there, free services that are out there, start generating some content. But once you start getting up to audio and video, you start actually, what kind of time and effort are you going to put into this? How much money are you going to put into this? Certainly at the video level, lights, cameras, microphones, everything else gets very expensive. And something to consider is if you're doing this on your own time and you're not getting paid for it, how's your family and spouse, significant others going to take all of this? And that is something that is very key in all of this, because as you're moving up the pyramid, there is some factors to consider, but there's also some advantages and some tips. So we'll go into that next.
Right. So, getting in blog and SlideShare, that's really about generating content, putting it out online, letting people absorb it. It's generally written, maybe a few visuals, but it's relatively static, and the amount of energy and equipment that's required is really low. Once you start looking into audio, you start looking into, what microphone am I going to be using? How am I going to deliver my content? Is it going to be on iTunes? Will I be publishing this stuff, on my own, just making MP3s available? And you start realizing, and I know we've had discussions about this with podcasting, about what applications that you can use to kind of make your delivery mechanism a little bit easier. Now, for the V Brown Bag podcast, however, we touch on the video. Now, we're not using cameras except for with like the tech talks, but when you're recording either through Google Plus Hangout or you're doing WebEx or GoToWebinar and things like that, you have a lot of other considerations. And as you brought up, what ends up happening is the amount of time, energy, and money required to move up and climb up this pyramid continues to grow. Now, with the podcasting, maybe touch a little bit on some of the things that you've had to deal with the podcasting side.
Yeah, absolutely. So a couple tips in general, and then some 4 guidelines that I would say when you want to generate content. So in addition to cost, effort, and time, there's also how many people are involved in this space. There's a lot less people doing video because of that barrier to entry. Now, there's also some kind of soft barriers to entry in the fact that, quite frankly, Josh, you've got a face for radio. I don't know that you want to be doing the video up here, myself included.
Right. And yet here we are.
So, but quick tips here. Content is king. You want to generate good content. There is so much just noise out there. You need to stand out. MVP, minimum viable product. Basically, ship it. You know, you want it to be good, but at the same time, don't make it perfect. Get it out there and get it out there on a schedule. The more content you generate on a regular basis, the more a snowball effect you will achieve from all of that. And lastly, enjoy it. Because if this is something you're going to be doing for 100, 200, 500, 1,000 hours for free, you need to enjoy it.
Yeah, and I'll touch on the last component of this in that as you climb up the pyramid and you're starting to engage and develop more complicated and more professional, and essentially you get better at how you develop the content. Always keep in mind of what I call the spouse acceptance factor. Make sure that whatever you're doing is something that fits into your family, your lifestyle, your budget, the things that you're doing. Because eventually, if you're doing it well, you pick up audience, there is an opportunity to start kind of getting a reward on it. You never know. You may end up on Engineers Unplugged.
There you go.
So with that, we'll let Amy close us out.
Oh, I think they know what time it is. We're going to have to climb the unicorn pyramid now. So,
Let's draw it climbing up the pyramid.
yeah, let's go. We've got to, yeah, here we go. Don't. Wow. That should give everybody faith. As you create content, maybe consider your strengths. I think that's what I'm hearing. And
This is not minimal viable product for you.
No, and it's not something that I would put on the pyramid ever.
so there you go. If unicorn content is not your strength, maybe stick to another format. This is really fantastic. I really appreciate these are great tips for all of our viewers out there. So thanks, Josh. Thanks, Aaron.
Yeah,
We'll see you next time on Engineers Unplugged.